Hello, friends and family. Welcome to Come Sit at My Table. I'm Tom. My wife Melissa is filming this for us tonight. Today we are going to make a recipe that will scare some people to death, and they won't do it because of what they've heard about this food. We're going to make a homemade fruitcake. Now, we've all heard the story about fruitcakes, that there's really only one fruitcake in the whole world, and it just gets passed around by people re-gifting it to the next person. Well, I'm going to tell you the truth. If you make this fruitcake, you'll not be re-gifting it because it's delicious. Melissa and I are snowbirds. In the winter, we go to Florida for 6 to 7 weeks to escape the cold and snow of Kentucky. And the first year we went, we met the loveliest couple that you could ever hope to meet. We went to church one Sunday morning at the little chapel that's in the community where we stay, and we met a man and woman named Jimmy and Vicki Duncan from Oxford, Georgia. They have become very dear friends of ours over the years that we've gone to Florida for the winter. Last winter, Vicki and Jimmy invited us over to their place where they stay in the winter and said that they had dessert and we could come over one evening, and so we did. And when we got there, she had a homemade fruitcake. I wish I had a picture of Melissa's face. Melissa does not like fruitcake any better than I do. The problem was, the only fruitcake I had ever really eaten was a store-bought fruitcake. Growing up, my mom had bought those little long square loaves of fruitcake and sliced them thin, and they just weren't great.
They're nasty.
Okay. I was trying to be nice. But I thought I didn't like fruitcake. But when Vicki cut her homemade fruitcake and gave us each a slice, I was just blown away by how good it was. And I looked at Melissa thinking, is she going to eat this? And she was grinning from ear to ear. We both absolutely loved this fruitcake. Now, I'll tell you that it is not a recipe that Vicki found in a magazine or on a website. This is their family's fruitcake recipe. And they have tweaked it and worked on it over the years. And honestly, I'll tell you, I don't think it could be any more perfect than it is. It is really good. And I am not sharing this without her permission. I talked to her yesterday, and she told me she was very honored that we would do her fruitcake and put it on our channel, and I was so appreciative that she gave us permission to do it. So Vicki, thank you very much. Let's talk about what goes into this fruitcake, and I'm begging you, don't be scared away by it being a fruitcake. It is awesome, so give it a chance. You're going to start with 1.5 sticks of butter. That's 3/4 of a cup. Just 1.5 sticks of butter. Please use real butter, don't use margarine. You also need 1 1/4 cups of light brown sugar, 5 eggs that we will slightly beat before we put them in, 1/3 of a cup of applesauce. Now, if you buy these little individual tubs of applesauce, and I think there's like 6 in a package, they're 4-ounce little tubs, that's 1/3 of a cup. So if you have some of these at your house, you like applesauce and you buy these to put in lunches or whatever, one of these 4-ounce little tubs is 1/3 of a cup, and that's what you need. You're also going to need 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. 1.5 cups. Then you're going to need some spices and leavening agents. You're going to need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Then you're going to need 1/2 teaspoon of everything else. Baking soda, salt, 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves, 1/2 teaspoon of mace, ground mace. I'll tell you that I had never used this before this recipe. I had to go buy some because I didn't have any in our spice cabinet. 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/2 teaspoon of ground allspice. So these are the spices right here that you're going to need. And
don't freak out, guys. I'll put the recipe on the description.
Yes. If you go right below the video in the description box and click on it and expand it, Melissa always puts the written recipe. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of vanilla and 2 teaspoons of orange extract. Then here comes the fruit. You need 1.5 cups of chopped dates. Now, I found these at our grocery store. I'll be honest and tell you, dates are not something I use a lot of. But we found these, and this package was exactly 1.5 cups. It is an 8-ounce package, but it had right at 1.5 cups in it. So 1 package of that. You need 1.5 cups of dark raisins. You need 1 cup of candied cherries. Now, I think there is a difference in sweetened cherries and candied cherries, but I could not find anything that said candied cherries. But when I looked online, it said that sweetened cherries were fine for a fruitcake. So that's why I went ahead and got those. Then you're going to need 1 cup of dried pineapple. And these come in pretty good sized chunks, about the size of, about the size of a quarter. And I just cut those up so that they would be about the same size as the dates and the raisins. So I just chopped those up a little. Then I got a bag of chopped walnuts. They were already chopped for me. And there's 2 cups in there, and that's exactly what we need. And then I buy pecans at Costco in jumbo bags. So I just broke those up into pieces that were about the same size as the other fruit. And you need 2 cups of pecans. That's all the ingredients you need. And I know that seems like a lot, but it's really not. It's not that bad. So we're going to start by preheating our oven to 275 degrees. Now, I know that's a low temperature, but it bakes low and slow. So 275, and in the bottom of your oven, you want to put a pan that has hot water in it so that that water will evaporate during the baking process and keep the top of your cake good and moist. So just put a cake pan or something in the bottom, put some hot water in it, put it in there when you turn your oven on to preheat, and let it kind of steam in the oven. The next thing we're going to do is sift together our flour and our spices. So we're just going to put our flour in here, and we will add our spices to that. Get all that out of there. Get that out of the way, and then we'll put in all of our spices right in there with our flour. Get everything in there. Want those spices to flavor that cake. And then we're just going to sift it. Just shake it a little bit. Sift it down in there. And the reason you do this is to get out any large lumps, if you have any big lumps. And you can see those lumps in there? Now you can either throw that away, or you can do what I do and just rub them, break them up, push them through. But you just want to make sure there are no big lumps in there. All right, so we have our flour mixed up, and that means we're finished with all those spices. We're done with that. Okay, let's get started putting our cake together. We're going to start by creaming together our butter and our brown sugar. So we'll just put some sugar down in here, put our butter in, and we will turn this bad boy on and let him start to run a little bit. Oh, we still have a squeak. Like we had gotten rid of that. There he goes. Now it's not squeaking. that run for just a second. And while it's running,
Lock that in.
yeah, lock it. There we go. That helps. While that's running, we're going to beat up our eggs just a little bit, just to break up those yolks so they'll mix in easier. You don't have to whip them or get out a beater or anything. Just take your fork and kind of beat them up a little bit so they're not going in whole. Alright, so our butter and sugar are creaming. We're going to add those eggs. And those were just large eggs, just what I got at the store. And now we'll add our applesauce. I'll just pour that in. And you know, I would think the applesauce is there for a little bit of flavor. The apple should flavor it some. But man, will it add moisture. That will make your cake good and moist. Okay. So we're going to let that beat for just a minute to combine well. Now we will start to add in our flour and our spices. Put that in a little at a time and hope it doesn't come flying out of there at me. It's not good to have a cloud in your kitchen. Nothing wrong with clouds, but when it's in your kitchen, it's not so good. You know, when we get to Florida every winter, there are people that we cannot wait to see. We have made such good friends there. We've made friends at the little chapel where we go on Sundays. We've made good friends at the... lost my spoon. Hang on. Sorry about that. That happens occasionally. We've made good friends at line dances that we go to. We've made good friends at the Convention and Visitors Bureau.
5K race.
Oh yeah, we do the 5K race at Frank Brown Park every year. It's just so much fun to go for the winter and see the same people over and over. But I'll tell you, Jimmy and Vicky are just some of our very favorite people that are there.
You won't find anybody any nicer than those two.
Nope, you sure won't.
They are just the nicest people in the world.
They are. They are just genuine, kind, loving Christian people. And we have just fallen in love with them. Okay, let's put in our vanilla and our orange. And then I think I probably should scrape that beater. There's 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and the same amount of orange. 1 teaspoon of orange extract, and 2. You may wonder why I'm counting. That's because if I count, I don't lose track. Yes, I have lost track of how many teaspoons or cups I've put in and things before, and that's not good. So, I usually count when I put things in like that. All right, now we are going to start folding in our fruit. Maybe I should scrape that batter first, or the beater. Get the batter off there and scrape that in and blend it one more time before I start with the fruit.
Maybe around the sides too.
Yeah.
It's a really pretty batter.
It is. It's beautiful. You know, it almost looks like a spice cake.
That's what I was thinking. I guess all those spices in there, though.
Yeah. Well, that's true. You've got, what, 7 different spices in there?
There's a reason for it.
Well, I guess 5 spices, plus the baking powder and baking soda. The nice thing about this beater is that it scrapes the side and bottom of the bowl as it goes, so that's nice. Scrape this spoon off. Try not to drop it in there again. Does anybody besides me ever have accidents in the kitchen? Well, you know, not funny. You might as well laugh about it. Not going to do any good to
change
cry.
anything whether you got upset.
Or no. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Now, let's scrape this off.
I still think you should go around the rim of the
Up here?
The side. Yeah.
Oh, I see. I didn't realize that was up there. Glad you said that. I'll fold that in as we mix the fruit in. I think it'll be fine.
I guess it's the orange that I'm smelling.
Ooh,
Sure
doesn't that
smells
smell good? Wow.
I appreciate that Vicki was willing to share her recipe. Not everybody's willing to share.
Well, you know, especially when it's a family recipe that a family uses, and I would understand that. I don't have many recipes that I don't share, but a lot of my recipes I have found from cookbooks, magazines, newspapers,
Good friends.
or people who are willing to share. And honestly, those are the good recipes because, you know, they're good.
They've been tried.
Yeah. Yeah, if they've been made over and over and a family loves it and makes that recipe, you know, it's going to be a good one. Okay, let's take this off. Get rid of our mixer, our floury mixer, and let's start dumping in. Here goes our dates. In go the raisins. And you do want to kind of make sure those raisins are not stuck together. You don't want big clumps of raisins in there. So make sure they're not sticking together. And I went through them when I put them in the measuring cup and checked them. Okay. Next, we're going to add these beautiful cherries. Man, they are so pretty. Same thing, these are sticky. So you want to make sure they're not clumping together. And why are they sticky? Well, they're sticky because they're coated in sugar. And the same with the pineapple. They're not as sticky as the cherries, but they're a little sticky. And then in we go with the nuts. Pecans.
This is going to be a big recipe.
It is. And I will tell you that I did go through these walnuts. I opened it and just sifted through them. I found, I don't know, maybe 4, 5, 6 pieces that were really dark. And I found 1 piece of a hull in there. So if you get packaged nuts like that, it's always good to go through those and just make sure that there are no hulls and no bad nuts in it, because those slip through sometimes. That happens. So just check it. You know, I'm thinking I might be better off with a big spoon than this spatula. So I'm going to switch. But I don't want to lose 1 bit of that batter. Keep it all. Okay. This really big spoon. Okay, here we go. That's so much better. Look at the colors. Oh, that's so pretty. Woo! Another accident. You got to get all that batter up out of the bottom so we can coat those nuts and that fruit. This is a little bit of a workout.
As I say, it seems really stiff.
I'm starting to wonder if Jimmy or Vicky is the one who stirs this.
Oh, Vicky's tougher than she looks. She's a tiny little thing, but I guarantee you.
Yeah.
She would have no troubles.
I guarantee you. But, you know, Jimmy might help her with it too. I can see him doing that. Now, I have sprayed my pan. Her recipe says to use a tube pan. I didn't have a tube pan, but I do have a Bundt pan. So that's what I'm using. I hope it works okay. And I sprayed it with this Pam with flour. So I hope it releases well. We're going to find out. So I'm just going to put big dollops in here. And then once we get it in, I will work it down in those cracks and crevices. And it is a good smelling batter. Wow. It's so pretty. It just looks like Christmas, doesn't it?
It really does.
All those red cherries. I hope this cake pan's big enough. I guess we'll find out. Okay. Just gonna start working it down in there. Get it down into all those cracks, and you know, a Bundt pan just has all kinds of little nooks and crannies in it because of the scallop around the edge. So you want to make sure there's something in all of that. Scrape our spoon, and let's scrape this bowl because we need every bit of that batter out there. It gets a little higher on that side. I'm going to pull some around here. You know what? I'm going to grab that spatula again and use it to scrape this bowl. I want all of that. Look how much batter's still in there. Oh, we don't want to lose that. It's too valuable. This smells like a spice cake, and it does have the taste of a spice cake. I'm going to tell you, it'll be the best spice cake you've ever eaten.
Mm-hmm. And it obviously freezes well.
It does freeze well.
Because what Vicky brought to us had been frozen, and it was fantastic.
Right, she had made it at home in Georgia, and brought it with her frozen to Florida, and then thawed it out.
And shared with us.
Shared with us, and man, it was really good. So yeah, it can be frozen. Won't hurt it at all. All right. Now, I think we are ready to go into the oven.
Okay, should we clean the middle of that off there?
Where, here?
Yeah, will it just rise and be okay?
Yeah, it'll rise up and cover all that. It'll be fine. Okay. Into the oven we go. It goes in for, I can't remember.
2 hours and 15 minutes.
2 hours and 15 minutes. Yep, I think that's right. And you can see I have my pan of water in here. And I'm just going to put that right over the top of it.
Okay.
And we will set our timer for 2 hours, 15 minutes. Now, when it's finished and it's done, we will check it with a toothpick to make sure the center is done. And when it's done, we'll come back and let you see what it looks like when it comes out of the oven. We'll have to let it cool for a while before we can take it out or before we can slice it, but we'll try to do that too. So we'll see you 2 hours, 15 minutes or so. Our fruit cake has been in the oven for 2 hours and 15 minutes on 275 degrees. And it looks like it's ready to me. So let's get ready to take it out. The timer is just about to go off. Okay, here we go.
And you test with the toothpick, right?
Yes. So let me grab the toothpick. Let's test it. Right down in the middle. If I hit something, probably in that. And the toothpick is completely clean all the way around. So I think it's probably ready. We will let it cool. I'll turn this oven off. And I'm going to say we give it, I don't know, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Let it cool a little bit. Hopefully it'll pull away from the edge of the pan as it cools. And then we will take it out. So when we take it out, we'll be back and show you what it looks like. Well, the cake has cooled a little bit. And I can tell that it has started to pull away from the edge of the pan. So we're going to try to take this out. I hope it works. Here we go. I will tell you, it's a heavy cake. It is not a light, fluffy cake. Oh, I think I felt it fall out. Now, let's see if we can get the cake pan off. Hope it's not too hot to touch. It might be. Let's try this way. And there it is.
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is perfect. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful cake? Wow. Clean this up a little bit. Get these crumbs off. Well, that is about as pretty a fruitcake as I've ever seen. And I am just tickled to death with the way it came out. Now, the question is, do we let it cool completely or do we cut it? I'm thinking we cut it.
You can't wait, huh?
I can't wait. Let's get a plate and let's cut this thing. It's still warm. I think it'll be okay. Oh, yeah. Honestly, I think it would slice better if it was cold. I don't want that big of a piece tonight. Slice it a little smaller. Honestly, I do think it would probably slice a little better if I let it ooh, that's hot. If I let it completely cool. So tomorrow, it might do a little better than it's going to do tonight. But let's just find out. Ooh, yeah, still a little hot. But that is a really pretty piece of fruitcake.
Okay, now for the taste test.
I want this part right in here. Like the crummy part. Mmm. Oh, yeah. That is so good. you will never get a store-bought fruitcake that's even close to being as good as this. Wow. I have to have another bite. I will tell you, it is just a little crumbly, but I think that's because it's hot. I know that Vicky said she thoroughly cools hers and then stores it in the refrigerator before she cuts it. And that's probably why. So tomorrow, we'll probably get a better slice out of it. But man, that's good. Okay, I have to quit eating it. We sure do appreciate that you watch our videos. Thank you so much for coming along this journey with us. I've asked you before, if you would go below this video and click the thumbs up. It just says that you liked our video. And if you haven't before, go below on the right side and click the subscribe word, the button there, and the little bell beside of it. That just lets you subscribe to our channel and notifies you every time we add a new video. And of course, we always appreciate when you share our video because that gets the word out to other people. It lets them know that we're here. So we'd appreciate it if you'd share our videos. And we always appreciate the kind comments that we have posted below those videos that we've posted. Melissa checks every one of those, reads every one of them, reads most of them to me, and we do appreciate that. Also remember that below the video in the description box, if you'll click on that description box where you see the title of the video, that will expand and you will find the recipe written out there. So you don't have to write it down as we're doing the recipe. All right. As always, we are so happy that you're here. And remember, you're always welcome to come sit at my table. Have a good evening and Merry Christmas.